Hey guys, welcome to another episode of HairTube. I'm here today with the gorgeous Susie. I met Susie at our gym. We both go to F45. And I thought I'd get her in for a haircut. So today we're going to be going through a cutting philosophy I've been working on, which is a dry cutting principle. So today with Susie, I'm just going to introduce some new shape into her hair. We ain't going to be doing anything crazy like using clippers or shaving her head unless she really wants me to. But I guess the next series of videos is more about understanding better how I approach cutting hair. So I'd say out of every 10 clients I do in the salon, 9 would be cut dry. So I'm going to let you guys see how that's done and and why that's beneficial, because I believe that by using the cutting technique that I'm going to show you, you easily identify anything that's problematic in the hair, like cowlicks, texture, movement, maybe crowns that could potentially be maybe ignored or you might not see if you were cutting hair wet to dry. So that's what we're going to do today. Sound cool?
Yeah, sounds good.
And Susie hopes that I cut hair better than I do burpees at the gym. So we'll see how we go, eh?
It's really bad at
All right. Did you have to tell them that?
Yeah, I need it.
Someone said to me the other day I was really fit.
You are fit,
Yeah.
just not very good at burpees.
Okay, let's get started. So back from the basin, I prepared, so the first part of prepping for dry cutting is making sure you're using good shampoo and conditioner to make sure that the scalp is nice and clean and the hair's light. You don't want to be using conditioners that are really heavy and saturating, so I use the Bi-Large Raw Uplift Shampoo and Conditioner, and then I'm going to use what I always use, the Bi-Large Hydrosol Spray, which is a great porosity equalizer, and it's a great spray to use before we start cutting. So I'm going to spray some of this in. Good thing about this product is you can be quite heavy-handed with it. I've never really found myself in a situation where I've used too much and it's become heavy. So I think that's a great property of that product. Comb it through, and then we're going to get straight into drying this. So I've prepped the hair with the good shampoo and conditioner, the Bi-Large Raw Uplift Shampoo and Conditioner. I've used the Hydrosol Spray. Now it's time to flat brush the hair. So a good paddle brush is important, one that has nice soft bristles, so when we're running it over the client's scalp it's not too hard. The idea of this is to make sure that we're blow drying the hair to the head shape. For me, the most flattering shape to dry anyone's hair to is their own head. I know that there's still a place for a classic blow dry and using round brushes to blow dry hair, but when you want to create shape around somebody's face, it doesn't really often make sense to me to use a round brush to do that, because I don't know anyone's face that is a similar contour to a cylindrical round brush. So what I do is actually use the person's forehead, the side of their head, to actually shape and mold the hair. So I'll get started and you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So I like to start in the back, and first thing we do is we're just going to remove a little bit of the moisture out of the hair. So one thing that I do say to clients before I start doing this is I make mention to them that their hair is going to be going onto their face, and if they could close their eyes. So the other reason why it's important to take a little bit of the moisture out of the hair first before you start this is you don't want sopping wet hair going onto someone's face, especially if your clients are coming in during the day and they may have, they may be at work, they'll have makeup on their face. The last thing they need is it to be splashed all over their face. So Susie, could you just close your eyes for me, babe? Thanks. So starting by bringing the hair forward, and especially on Susie's hair, you can see in her hairline, she's got some growth patterns which are quite strong, and that's why it's really important to mould the hair this way. Then once we get to the side, I ask her to put her head to the side and we start moulding it into the side of her face, on the temples, all the way around into the back. So this is a technique called wrap drying. I'm sure many of you have seen it before, but every single person whose hair I cut dry, whether it be long, short, curly or straight, I dry it this exact way. So you can see I'm using Susie's neck to actually mould the shape of the hair. You can see that coming through there. Super important. Is that temperature all right? What? Is the temperature okay? It's not too hot? Great. When you're working near their ear too, make sure you're not blowing air directly into the client's ear. It's never pleasant. It's like when you jump out of a plane when you're skydiving. That's why you wear earplugs. And once it's dry, we're just gonna lift it all back off Susie's face, because this also helps with finding where her natural part is, and it's super beneficial on everyone to cut their hair with their natural parting. Okay, so basic distribution when it comes to sectioning the hair. We just want to make sure that where the hair starts to round off on the crown, where the head starts to round off on the crown, that's generally where I section out to. Just clip that away. So we'll just get your head centered, because make sure you're straight, just sit up nice and straight for me, sort of. Perfect. And now just spin you this way. You guys have heard me say many times, sectioning, although being very important, I think sometimes we can overcomplicate things when we section hair. So as long as you could control the hair with your comb and your scissors good enough to get through the amount of hair in your section accurately, you can take as big or a small section as you feel comfortable. I just think that sometimes we can overcomplicate things by sectioning too much. So scissor goes in behind, comb on top, and then we're just going to very carefully cut across there nice and straight, then I hold it against the cape just to get any of that graduation out. Make sure when you're cutting on the on the right hand side, you sit to the left, and when you're cutting on the left hand side, you sit to the right, because what that does is it makes sure you don't cut the corners off, because I'll just spin Susie around a little bit, but if I was to come over here and cut this way, the tendency is for me to then cut the corners off, and that's why it always ends up round. So it's a good tip. See it happen all the time, especially when people are cutting bobs, they end up cutting the corners off, and there's this hole here on the shoulder. I'm not concerned with any of this movement through here. The reason being is that's Susie's natural movement, natural growth patterns, and the whole idea of this is to make sure we're cutting to that. Just chin down a little bit, gorgeous, thank you. It's a good idea to have the head in a negative forward position, because what that does is it counters any graduation that you might put on the ends when you lift the hair up between the comb. You got beautiful hair, Susie. And you got enough too. Huh?
It's my worst feature.
Why?
It's just really thin and annoying. Have you seen my sister's hair?
Yeah.
So much thicker than my hair. Genetics, eh?
One obviously got mum's hair, one got dad's.
Yeah.
Next section, if you do get a little clip mark like I have there, it's absolutely okay to give that a little gentle blast. Just to loosen it up again. The other thing, when we're cutting dry, sometimes you can find that our combs, for whatever reason, can create some static. The HydroSource spray is a great spray just to give a little mist, and you'll find that by the time you finish cutting that section, it actually dries in the hair really, really quick. Spun Susie around, which allows me to sit further to the right, while I'm working on the left, because we don't want to cut those corners off. I just cross-check. This takes a lot of practice because you need a really steady arm and hand, because we're not holding it. Your arm is not in a sort of rested position. So normally when we're cutting hair, we tuck our elbow in. It makes it a little bit easier, but this is a little bit tricky. So you just have to be patient and practice, because once you get the hang of this, you'll see how beneficial it is to cut your client's hair this way. That's the back done. Look how beautiful and full it is. Okay, so the back's done, and now what we're going to do is spin Susie around, and we're going to incorporate the sides. Again, there's a little clip mark in there. So if you get clip marks in the sides, the reason why that happens is the hair, even though we dried it, it still has moisture in it, and then when you put a clip in it and it starts drying, it's going to end up having a clip mark. So we need to get that out. So when we incorporate the sides, the first step of doing this is to bring it into the back. So I take a section about 2 centimeters in front of our original section in the back, and we're bringing this hair from the sides and we're cutting it on this design line in the back. Again, if you're getting a little bit of static like this, grab your HydroSource spray, give it a little mist from a height. Don't go too close because you'll saturate the hair. It's just enough just to get that hair to sit in without the flyaway. Once I start the sides, I generally don't clip them anymore, because otherwise every time you go to your next section, you're going to have to stop, get up, grab your blow dryer, get the clip marks out, and that isn't really that efficient. takes longer than it has to. So now we bring this into the side. Scissor goes underneath. So to make sure that we're not manipulating the hair, it's coming gently past the ear, over direct, and we're just going to take that off. Something I see hairdressers do a lot is rush the baseline or the perimeter or the length. When they're cutting it, they point cut it and they just do it really, really quickly. I'm not sure why we don't spend a lot of time doing baselines. Something that I stole from a good friend of mine, Dario. He said to me, do you know what the difference between a $100 pair of jeans and a $1,000 pair of jeans is? I said, other than the price. I said, probably the quality of the material and things like that. And he said, yeah, but it's also the detail in the cut, the detail in the way they stitch them, sew them and put them together. And that's why they look and are expensive. So if you want your haircuts to look really, really sharp and expensive, you need to not rush doing the baseline. You need to actually spend time on it, because it's ultimately what is going to grow out the best or the worst in terms of the element in the haircut. And point cutting and just quickly, lopping off the dead ends on the ends is, I think, a real shame, because something that can set you apart from the next hairdresser is to spend that little bit of extra time on the baseline and make the haircut look super, super sharp. So don't rush it. Bring the rest in here. If you run out of hair, don't go chasing it. There's nothing to cut on that side. Just a little bit to cut on this side. Now we check the sides. Susie, could you just look into the mirror for me, babe? Thank you. So this is where I check my sides. I want to make them super sharp. Make sure that you check underneath behind the ear, that there's no hair stuck there. Oh, don't stab your client. I do it all the time. That's why the points of the scissors aren't sharp. Just really make sure you don't stretch this over the ear, because if you stretch that over the ear, that's what's going to happen. You're going to end up with a hole there. It's such a classic mistake I see so many hairdressers do. I used to do it all the time. Actually, in actual fact, if I get tired, we all get tired, but if I'm tired and I'm not concentrating, I still do it today. Just remember that if you stretch that too hard over the ear, it's going to shorten the hair and you cut it. And as you can see, there's nothing to cut on that side. For Suze, and if we could do the opposite, Suze, that'd be great. Just look that way, and I'll spin you right round so we can see what I get stuck on. Sorry, babe. Just look straight. Just look straight this way.
Oh, that way?
Yeah, and just turn your head a little bit. Don't sort of bend your head.
Where?
Yeah, just keep going a bit more. Bit more. Perfect. And again, a bit more. Just don't put your chin down. That's it. Great. Yep, there's a bit to cut on this side, so I'll just adjust that. Capes are really important when you're doing dry cutting. You want to make sure that, especially in the back, when you're cutting the back, you don't want to have lumps. You want to make sure the cape's nice and flat. You need to cut on a flat surface. Wonder why this side was longer, Suze, from your last haircut, I think.
No, probably a bad hairdresser.
No such thing. All hairdressers are amazing. Except for me, I'm just average. Can you look straight? Like straight at me?
Straight at you.
Yeah. You can close your eyes, and I'm not the nicest on the eyes. What'd they say? Just if I know I'm ugly, but you got to look at me. Sorry. Man, your hair just looks completely different already.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I'm a changed woman, aren't I?
You will be. No one's ever the same after spending 45 minutes with me. Don't know if that's a good thing. Just look this way again. Thank you.
Do you spin all your clients around like this?
Yep. It's because if I try and cut with your head the other way, I run into your shoulder.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to cut here and I'm into your shoulder, whereas as soon as you turn your head, I don't have to worry about where your shoulder is anymore. So we're just checking there. I'm coming this way so you guys can see. I mean, you're going to be dizzy by the end of this.
I know.
Sorry, babe.
That's okay. Small price to pay.
Susie's first time having a haircut with me. I think she's a bit nervous. And just look at me. Like all the way. Yep, good. Thank you. There's something weird going on here. One thing I have to say about this technique is it does require a fair bit of patience because when you first start doing this, it's very hard to control the hair because you're so used to being able to just grab it between your fingers and you got a hold of it and it's much easier to cut. So I would urge anyone who's going to try and cut their client's hair this way after watching this video is stick at it and be patient. Because if you get this right and you master it, you'll see the result is absolutely worth the short-term pain that you have to go through to just try and get your head around and grasp this technique. Coolio. Okay, so now we're going to create some shape. Let me just spin Suze around because I want to have a look. We're going to create some shape in the front. Now Susie is very active, she goes to the gym a lot and she ties her hair up a fair bit. So we probably can't go real short around the front, but she's got beautiful cheekbones, so we need to actually cut some shape in here just to emphasise that. Is it like, I should know, but do you just tuck your hair behind your ears when you train or do you actually tie it all back?
No, I tuck it behind my
Cool.
ears, so you can cut whatever.
Yeah, so we're gonna put some shape in the front. Because I don't think we should cut I don't think we should cut anyone's hair so that they can tie it back. I think the challenge of a hairdresser is that, our job as a hairdresser is to try and inspire people to wear their hair out rather than resorting to tying it back all the time. I understand if you're active, you need to tie it back, but you wouldn't give someone or recommend someone a haircut purely based on their need to tie it back for 45 minutes in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. Right, so we're going to start with quite a large diagonal back section, which goes from the natural parting that we created or we discovered or found or identified when we wrap dried Susie's hair in the beginning. So you can see that coming in there. And what we want to make sure we do is we don't want to cut these corners out. So we can do that two ways. We're going to over direct and we're going to elevate the hair to retain length. So above 90 degrees so it falls nice and soft. I'll spin you around this way just so we can see a bit better. And we're just going to take these dead ends off here. Same on this side. Come around here. So I'm not going to, in the interior, add too much shape. Where we're going to get the hair to sit back and kick back like that beautiful curtain bang to create that shape is actually when we layer the interior. We're going to do it a little bit differently, but we do need to adjust the shape in the exterior. Again, I'm just over directing. You can see in there my point from the other side as my guide, and we just want to create this slight little shape. You could go square if you wanted, but I just wanted to be a little bit more tapered. Just make sure you don't cut these. I see it happen a lot. We end up with almost like a page boy, where like that page boy shape where it comes back. It's not wrong, it's just, I think it's more flattering to leave those points there. And I know a lot of my clients who started coming to see me recently with long hair, one of the things they say is the hairdresser always cuts my points off. So that's why I thought I'd mention that, because I think sometimes we can do it without realizing we're actually doing it. And that essentially comes from having your projection and your elevation too low. And then when you're cutting this hair down here is getting cut here, and then it goes right back. So just want to make sure that when we're doing this, that ends fall out there like that. We don't want to be cutting this down here, because if we do, you're going to end up doing what I said, you're going to have that page boy shape, which is not wrong, it's just not what we're trying to do here. So not much to cut there now. Check on this side, and then our shaping will be done. Those of you who are watching and used to seeing the haircuts that I do that are quite dramatic and have, you know, a lot of change in length, what I want you to make note of is that, and for this particular haircut I'm doing on Susie, that you don't always have to chop it off real short to make a big difference. Sometimes it's little pieces of hair taken off in the right place can make a really, really big difference. I think that should be a little bit shorter. So we bring all the rest of the hair at the back all forward into that cutting line until we run out of hair. Don't go chasing it. If it doesn't reach your guideline, don't cut it. Just a little bit there. And I would suspect about the same on this side. Yep. And we're done for the exterior shape in the front. Okay, so we've done the shape in the exterior in the front. Now we're going to do the interior shape. So if you just put your head down, Suze, we're going to take from Susie's crown here, we're going to take a pie section, tuck the rest behind the ear. Same on the other side. So I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. And we're going to create a little bit of shape through the interior using a seamless layering technique. I don't know where that little bit came from, must have been stuck behind your ear. So you can see there, take that a little bit wider. One section through the middle is our guide, and what we want to do is make sure that we're creating short to long. We don't want to go and lop it off square, we just want to create a little bit of shape in the interior. So over directing, short to long, there's our guide, and now we're bringing everything else back to that point. Same on the other side. The thing that's tricky about cutting the type of hair Susie has is that because it is really silky and smooth and fine, if you're not accurate, you'll see little chatter marks in it everywhere. So you see these little chunky spots. I don't know if you've ever experienced that before, Suze, but sometimes you get these, like, you can see every little sort of imperfection in the haircut. It's really important that you're super accurate when you're cutting with a guideline, so make sure that you hit that guideline right on the mark, because if you don't, you're going to end up with little chatter marks everywhere. Just a little bit of texture through this side, because the hair parts from deep on one side. The challenge we have as hairdressers is what happens is you end up with this much hair here and then only that much there. So the challenge for us is to make sure we can get a balanced look with essentially 2/3 of the hair on one side and 1/3 on the other. That's why you only add texture where it looks like you need it. I think that's looking pretty good. Got some nice shape in there, looks like it from the side here. It's nice, still got the points. All right, so now what's left is there'll be little pieces of cut hair left in there for Suze. We don't want hair raining out on you all day, so we're gonna go through and blast that out. Then we're gonna use a product just to dress out. You probably notice again, I haven't used a round brush. I don't think you'd use a round brush, would you?
No.
No, so I'm not gonna do it if my client's not going to. And I'm gonna show you how you can use your hands to actually create some shape. So just give this a blast. Give a little bit of volume. I might just do a little bit of maybe a little bit of a cheeky shape in the front. It's really cute, I like it. I think it's a good length. Height Riser, amazing product. Something I use a lot. It's by Matrix. It's in their part of their Style Link range. And the reason why I like Height Riser for a few reasons, it allows us to actually create volume in the hair. It doesn't make it greasy, doesn't make it oily, doesn't weigh the hair down, but you get control and you can actually create shape by using this. So I'll start by just putting a little bit in through the roots here. And what that does is allows us to create volume here. I'm going to put some in at the crown. So a good bit of height there. And then I like putting some in through the sides. And then this side. You can see it's really bringing that shape out. I'll spin around this way so I can see. Have you ever used dust like this before?
Yeah, but like really bad, heavy one like that one.
Yeah, this one's like nice and light. It's pretty cool. Right, so then it's just a matter of, let me just spin around this way because I need to see. We just want to use our fingers just to manipulate, bend the hair a little bit, have it off the face, bring this forward, get some volume. And then I'm just going to spray it into position. Have a look at the shape. It's beautiful. It's really lean for Susie. Sits in nice and tight. It's not boxy and round. Boxy all round, I mean. It's just like a neutral, nice neutral shape. Style fixer. We just want to close your eyes, Suze. Don't want to get any friendly fire. Otherwise I'll cop it at the gym.
Yeah, don't want to spray my eyeballs out.
I'll end up with a dumbbell or something in the back of the head.
Lift your dumbbell.
Here you can. You're a machine at the gym. You're too modest. You go hard. Well, you wait till you're old like me. It's not as easy as what it once used to be. I've got an excuse.
My God, this is like the best haircut I've ever gotten.
Yeah, it's cool and it's just neutral. It's just fun. You got some shape. You can wear it smooth. Let's whip this off. Want me to touch it?
Oh my God, it actually feels so good.
Yeah, it's just fun, funky, like
really
you got
shocked.
texture in there. Where's my paddle brush? Because I just want to show everyone. Although, and this is the why seamless layers are great. It gives flexibility, so we can wear it quite sort of textured and messy and fun. And I think airy, sort of organic looking hair is really fashionable. But then when we comb it smooth, there's no marks in it whatsoever. It's just, it looks like essentially all one length. The good thing also about using the height riser dust, as soon as we put our hands in it and lift it up again, straight away, we can create that shape. It's fun. What do you think? You like it?
I really like it.
Just put your head back for me. I want to just mess it up one more time. I just want to see if I can loosen it up a bit. Height rise is something that a lot of my clients, I never really thought about using it that way, but a lot of my clients use it on the second day when they're feeling a little bit oily or greasy. Because it soaks up the oil. So in that respect, it's a great product because it actually doesn't weigh the hair down. It actually soaks the oil up, which is even better. That's great for your face. That through the side, it's brilliant. Super good.
Yeah,
You can put your chair down. What do you think?
so good. This is like the best hair, like legitimately. I had no expectations. Not because Adam's not good, but because my hair is just not that great. But this is like the best haircut I've ever gotten.
I think it can be challenging to work on fine hair, just like it's challenging to work on hair that's curly, thick. You just have to approach it a little bit differently. So again, just practice, try that seamless layer, make sure that you're hitting your guidelines, because in thicker hair, there's more of it. Sometimes it can be a little bit more forgiving. Fine, silky, perfect, smooth hair like Susie's is completely unforgiving. If it's not super, super accurate, yep, you see every single little mark. Get your hands in it, show me. Put your hands in it. I like watching, no, do it, because I like watching.
It's like so good. It doesn't feel like,
The height riser.
yeah, like sometimes when you put that powder stuff in, it feels like knotty and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I just like watching my clients do their own hair, because I just think they can do their hair better than me. I think women just have a better way of just like naturally working their hair. They give it a bit of a zhuzh, give it a bit of volume, and I just like seeing you do that, so that's good.
Smells good too.
Does smell good.
Just ultimate experience right here.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for cutting my hair.
Don't kick my ass in the gym tomorrow.
I will.
She will. Until next time, thanks guys. Make sure you click the notification button, hit subscribe button, because Jimmy and I are working on a heap of new content that comes online. And if you don't have notifications on, you won't know about it. Until next time, see ya. Thanks, Susie.
See ya.
Bye.